Hello to my homie Holmes. Welcome back to Off Limits. I'm Ellen Roers and happy that you're here for today's episode. And I've got to tell you, I don't know what it is with me and my homie. I love it more than saying my friend, my buddy, and my pal. I don't know where it comes from. Let me know if you can recall this movie. I can't remember what the movie is or where I got this saying, but I know it's a gal, our actress, and she says, "Rolling with my homies." I can't remember where it came from, but it's in my head. And because I've been saying I'm your homie for all things home with my real estate, it's kind of sticking with me. So anyways, I hope I'm not offending you by saying homie, but I look at it as like buddy, pal, friend. So you are my homie. So thank you for checking in. And I've got big news for today. We have just crossed well over 1,000 listeners, which is a big deal. You know, I know it's maybe small in the podcast world, but I don't take it lightly. I want to say that every single one of you that tunes in or shares an episode tells me that this podcast does matter. So thank you for that. I'll say I started this podcast just wanting to create and be able to inspire and elevate each other just by sharing our joys, our frustrations, being real, being authentic. You know, it started with the whole L Daily vibe. And then as it's evolved, I've got more into this off limits. Like, let's talk about topics that most people won't talk about. And part of that is by being very vulnerable and authentic with you. And I hope you can feel that you can be the same with me. So I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing when you share. It really does mean the world. And any of your comments, I will take them to heart and make sure to respond always. So with that, today's topic, we're going to talk a little bit about the void. I know I've brought this up before. I think it's an important topic, especially we've got a lot of shift, a lot of energy, a lot of change. September, this is one of the bigger shifts. I'm not like big time into astrology. I don't know a lot about it, to be honest, but moon energy I really know, because even back when I lived in California, the tides was all about the moon. Where was the moon? So high tide, low tide. It's even why sometimes when there's the full moon, in my nursing days, you would say, oh, people are a little loony, right? So that comes from the term lunatic, comes from lunar, the moon. And there's a lot of shifts too with our body is so much made of water that depending on where the moon is with the earth and the polarities, right, it can have a lot of effect on us. So anyways, take it with a grain of salt. You may think that's loony to hear about, but it's something that definitely affects me. And I know we're coming on to, again, the blood moon, which big energies where a lot of great things can happen, letting go of the old, bringing in new, the good stuff for us, right? But during that moment, during this time, there can be a lot of us feeling this void. And when I say the void, it's the space of the waiting, the unknown. And sometimes it can be a really tough place. It's, you know, you're waiting for your next job. Maybe you're waiting to find love. Maybe you're in a marriage or relationship and you're wondering, where's this going? What's happening here? Maybe you're wanting to create a family and you've been trying for years. And there's that void of, you know, am I going to get to have a sweet baby boy or girl? Or maybe you're finding out something terrible about your health and you're in that waiting of, what is the outcome looking like for me? You know, there's a lot of different things that we all go through. So today, before we really get into it, I want to share a quick story from my Friday 2 nights ago. And I was honestly feeling the weight of the world and the void that day. Had been a really good week. So I always try to look at the good. I wrapped up a really nice big consulting week and I was proud of it. I felt like celebrating, but still I just had this little ache inside of me. I don't know what it was. I was feeling a little lonely. I don't know. The uncertainty too was there. I'm like, the uncertainty of what's next. I've got my final interview coming up for one I'm really excited about. I've been doing the consulting, but I know that still, even at this level of the income coming in right now, I won't be able to stay where I'm at. So here I am going to be packing up again in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And that felt a little rough to me too. So anyways, I won't bore you with my details. You guys know my story. I'm sure it was written all over my face. That night turned into this cool cascade though of reminders that I wasn't alone. So first things first, I had taken my takeout bag home and on the bag was this beautiful quote, and I'm going to read it to you. Generosity isn't giving what's left over. Generosity is giving the first bite. It's giving when it's uncomfortable. It comes alive when you decide to give regardless of struggle. And that really stayed with me. Even the times growing up, my parents were very good at tithing and very good at giving. Remember, my dad was in a moment of being laid off. And even during those moments, he was still giving that 20% to the church. And I thought, wow, that's pretty amazing because I'm thinking, oh, I think we need it right now. The selfish side of me was feeling that way. But there's something beautiful about giving, even when you don't have all that you would like to give, or even when it might feel uncomfortable. And so this again stayed with me because earlier that day, and this is a very silly example that I'm going to give. So I'm not trying to give myself kudos for this, but I was at a coffee shop and the man behind me looked really rushed. And so mine wasn't necessarily about giving him a coffee. Mine was more being aware of his needs. I could just tell, like, oh gosh, this guy does not want to wait for me to order. So I'm like, what are you getting? I'll order yours. And so I just ordered him a black coffee, paid for it, gave it to him before my stuff even came. And you could just tell he was very grateful. But I thought, well, maybe this whole generosity thing came back to me 100% fold later that night. And I was like, well, this is kind of cool. So, yeah. So I bought his coffee. Like I said, no big deal, just a little act. But that quote was like, the universe turned around and gave me a huge gift later that night because when I went to pay for my dinner, I had 2 glasses of wine, even salad, pasta. I did the whole works because I was thinking, I'm celebrating my week of consulting. And the bartender said, oh, no, your neighbor had already taken care of it. I was like, what? I didn't even get to say goodbye to him. He's a man I had just met. He was sitting alone across from the bar, and it was pretty quiet when we were both there, maybe 5 o'clock, so before the bar got busy. And I just said, hey, what did you order? What did you get? It looks really good. And we had some conversation back and forth. And maybe that meant more to him than I thought. I don't know what it was that encouraged him to buy my dinner, but it sure was sweet. And he slipped away without even saying a word, never got his name. And like I said, the meal was easily over $80. So he had given much more than what I did that morning. But I just thought, wow, when you open up to people and you choose to connect, even in your own heaviness. So when we are feeling our own heaviness, you never know what's going to come back. And maybe he was feeling heavy that day too. So maybe me connecting with him is what made be like, you know what? I'm going to give her this gift. And so it kept unfolding like that the rest of the night. So I meet this hardworking delivery man. You could tell he was foreign, didn't speak the best language, but his eyes were soft and gentle. He had a bunch of stuff in his hands. So I was trying to hold the doors for him as he was coming into our building. And then lo and behold, this 6'5" gentleman had come to the door to get all of those groceries that the man was delivering. He too, just gentle eyes. And so we were kind of walking together to the elevator. And I said, you must be an athlete. He said, yeah. I said, well, what team? He said, Timberwolves. I said, oh, what number? I'll make sure to keep an eye out for you. He says, number 19. So of course I Googled him when I got back to my place. And yeah, he's about 20 years younger than me. So I'm thinking he went to the top penthouse floor, by the way. And so I just thought it's pretty cool. This guy in his early 20s, living the life, pretty neat. But he too maybe thought Friday night groceries by himself, But all in all, I still felt like all these little mini connections that we had just brightened our worlds. Like I could tell I brought a little kindness and joy to him and vice versa. It just reminded me this something very important, that men matter, women too, of course, but their presence, their kindness, their energy, it really does brighten the world because they do love to give. And I think they are more in tune than we realize if we allow them to be. And we sometimes overlook that aspect. So just wanted to bring that up. And then what I'm feeling that I'm learning from the void, and I hope you're learning this too, let me know your thoughts, that it isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's time to really see our resilience. It's time to grow and to go within. And when you are in this waiting, void is just full of signs, small acts of generosity, unexpected kindness that remind me and remind you that you're still seen. So try to think of those, small acts of generosity that you maybe experienced or unexpected acts of kindness that somebody brought your way, and letting you know that you're supported, that you are still connected. And sometimes it takes leaning into those small moments to remember life isn't on a pause, even when it feels like it. Sometimes I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what is going on with this crazy time that I'm experiencing? Testing my patience for sure. But I want to leave you with a few questions. What small act of kindness reminded you of the goodness of humanity this week? Did you have something that happened to you that was like, oh man, people are good? And maybe you're on the flip side. I've talked to a girlfriend who just yesterday, and we were both like, I don't know what it is, but I'm pooped. I'm exhausted. I was feeling that a little bit Friday too after dinner. I was like, oh, I can't wait to just put on my robe or pajamas and I put on some Frasier and relaxed, washed my face, was makeup free, and just enjoyed that downtime. So maybe you need that too, and that's okay. Sometimes we keep pushing, we keep trying to forge ahead, and sometimes it's good just to rest and to be in the void and to be in the present moment and choose that joy in that moment. So where are you in the void right now? Or maybe you're not in a void. Maybe everything is just going wonderful for you. That's great. I want to hear about that too. Write that down, celebrate it, because it's great to be in that. But if you are sitting in a void, how can you reframe it as preparation, not punishment? And I'll tell you, one of the biggest things I've been learning with my downtime is in all of these years as a professional in my corporate world and having some of the consulting side stuff coming in real estate, I've never really had to balance my checkbook, or not checkbook. Who balances a checkbook anymore? Probably nobody, but I haven't really had to look at my account. It's just me. I don't have kids. I'm carefree with all of it. But I'll tell you now, I'm balancing every penny or looking at what's coming and going. And I think it's teaching me to be a little more fiscally responsible, because I'd be like, oh, I want this, I'll get it. Oh, I'm going to do this, I do it. Oh, I want this car. Okay. But this is making me think, did I really need to get that vehicle, or did I need to buy that bracelet? I have no regrets, but I'm looking at it as, where could I be a little more fiscally responsible? Because I've gone now 18 months, 8 out of the 18 months I've been without a full-on income coming in, and it just feels different. And so I guess look at that as ways of reframing this time as a preparation to prepare you more for life, or to just show you, you can do anything you put your mind to. Sometimes when you go in the depths of, I don't want to say depths of darkness, I'm not in darkness, but I did run into a gentleman last week. He saw me working on QuickBooks, and I was like, do you know QuickBooks? Do you know how this works? And he's like, well, I have my own company. And his story was really cool, because he was about my age, around his 40s, when he too was in the worst financial place he's ever been. But he's like, it forces you to really become resilient and figure it out. And that's where I'm at too, is like, I just got to figure this out. Like I said, I've never had to really rely fully on my own consulting income, but that's where I'm at right now. And don't look at it as punishment, look at it as preparation, because it's preparing you for something bigger and better. And then how do you choose to notice joy even in the waiting? Are you able to see the joy, the good things, even in the moment of waiting, even if it's just you understanding you more, or really getting to know the depths of you? What type of grit do you have? Do you have resilience? Do you have patience? Virtue, all of those things. Look at it in that way. So today, I am going to keep it short and simple, my friends, my homies. Men, we see you. Women too, we love you. The void, we absolutely embrace you. We're going to just honor it. And to all of you beautiful listeners out there, remember again, the best is yet to be. I just want to thank you again for tuning in to Off Limits. Be sure to hit subscribe, share, and let's connect through the links and show notes below. Until next time, keep living with heart and keep finding joy in the void. Sending you so much love till next week. And thanks again for making things wonderful on Off Limits. All right, bye.